Hello everyone, Rabbi Abe here. Today I want to share with you some secrets about the 42-letter name and how to use it, or rather how and why, to use it before you go to sleep to protect your soul at night, and why that's an important thing to do. Before we go into it, I just want to remind you guys, please, if you are so inclined to support the channel or on rabbiabe.com, you can contribute to support the Rabbi Abe platform, or by becoming a member of the YouTube channel. It helps us to continue to put out free content as much as possible. Okay, so I want to read to you from the Zohar, what does the Zohar have to say about the 42-letter name? When we say the 42-letter name, this idea of the 42, it's encoded in Genesis, okay? And I won't get into the particulars of, counting the names and the gematria or the numerology, but this 42-letter name, and we've done previous videos on it. I can include a link in the comments section if you haven't seen, one of the main videos that we've done already on the Ana Bekoach, which is also known as the 42-letter name. It emanates from the secret of creation, which is spoken about in Genesis. Okay, we're not talking about the literal translation of the Bible, but rather the secret behind it, which is what Kabbalah explains. So the 42-letter name is extremely important. It is called the name of creation. It is a combination of 42 letters that Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakana, approximately, I think it was about 1,000 years ago, put into verse form. And I explain why over there, because it was not originally with verses, but he put it together, in other words, the initials of the actual 42-letter name into verses in which the initials will spell out the 42-letter name. Again, explain it over there. You can revisit that video. Again, link in the comments section. But having said that, the reason why he did that was because every generation, spiritual level of people get further away from spiritual connection, and at least in past history, get closer to the physical world and the intellect, but away from the spiritual connection. So we get smarter, but less spiritual, to put it bluntly. And so he knew that, he understood it, he put it to verse in order to bring it down closer to what we call the Malchut, physical world, more manifest. But we understand that the power of the 42 letters are in the name itself, okay? And that name is 6 letters, 7 times, okay? 7 times 6 letters, which create 42. 6 are the days of creation. 7 are the days, all the days themselves, which is a complete vessel. And so one of the things that we know, without getting into the specifics of the 42-letter name, is this name takes us through the creative process and helps also to eliminate what we might call unnecessary process. Now, of course, if we have to go through it, then it becomes necessary. But the Kabbalists are suggesting that not necessarily we can go through that process in other ways that then would help us avoid negative aspects of the process, to get there. We know everything that happens is necessary in order for us perhaps to learn, to go through whatever, but perhaps we can go through it differently, which is one of the reasons of the 42-letter name. I don't want to waste time. Let's get into the reading here, what the Zohar explains, I'm reading from the Tikkunei Hazor, what are called corrections or addendums to the Zohar from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And I'm just getting to the place over here. Okay, and he gets into, speaking about Genesis and the names and the combinations, which I won't go into. 7 names, which are 42 letters, and according to the 7 days of creation, and the 10 utterances, or some people know them as the 10 commandments, and 32 times in the beginning of Genesis, 32 times the name Elohim. Okay, so 32 times the name Elohim, and plus the 10 utterances, which really represent the 10 sefirot, or the 10 stages of the tree of life, which we also have videos about. If you're subscribed to the channel, you know that. So 10 and 32 is 42, and therefore it's a hint to the 42-letter name within the creative process, because these 32 names are in the first chapter of Genesis, and it's a hint to creation. Okay. After he gets done with that, he says, V'hainu ugvoim alehem elu sheva tevot avak yetatz. Alehem ne'ama srafim vegomer. והשם הזה הוא סגולתו לכסות את הנשמה כשעולה למעלה בכל לילה להעיד על המעשים הטובים של האדם ממלאכי חבלה ומכל המזיקים והרוחים ולעילים ושדים ובהם פורחת למעלה בשתי אותיות. Well, let's take it one step at a time. Okay, saying a lot of things over here. He says this name, and he cites the initials of the first verse of the Ana Bekoach, the Ana Bekoach Gedulat Yemenecha Tatir Tzerura, refer to my other video if you want to know how to say it and the complete. And by the way, let me just add to that, you can download it if you haven't already on my website, rabbieabe.com, up there in the corner, rabbieabe.com. Go to the download section. You just need to create it's a free account, and I have many downloads over there, and one of them is the downloads of the 42-letter name and the Ana Bekoach, along with also the initials from the Book of Formation of how to use them together to overcome the constellations, the astrology, and so on. It's over there. Again, rabbieabe.com, and go to the download section. Now, so he says that this combinations, it's above everything else. It's above everything else. It's the first verse. I lost my place, sorry. Elu sheva otiyot, sheva tevot. These 7, because it is inclusive of itself, right? 6 letters, and the initials of these 6 letters plus them as an entity on their own, which is 7. Alem ne'ama srafim v'gomer v'Hashem hazeh hu sgulato lechasot et neshama. These letters of the 42-letter name, it is a tool. It is a spiritual tool, an amulet, a force to protect the soul when we sleep. To protect the soul when we sleep. Aneshama k'she'oleh lemala b'chol laila, because when we sleep, and we should probably do a video on sleep, our soul, the main parts of the soul that give us consciousness and allow us to be awake, leave. That's what sleep is. That's why you can't just lay on your bed and get rest, because the soul must leave the body in order to become, let's say, charged, recharged, and that's what happens. But when it leaves the body, it's subject to other forces, you see? And that has a lot to do with what we've done in the past day. But he says, this Ana B'Koach, this 42-letter name, it's amazing what it says. If you use it, it will protect the soul as it goes to the spiritual world every night to give testimony on the positive actions that a person did in that day. Because that's what protects the soul. The positive actions that we've done today will protect our soul at night. Now what the Ana B'Koach does, he says, is gives testimony and finds all the positive, even if we don't know or we don't, what we did, right? We sometimes don't even know ourselves what we did, might have been, good or not so good. But it protects it from all the damaging, harmful forces, Malachei Kabbalah, Mikol HaMazikim, all the harmful entities and the spirits, evil spirits, and the demonic, I don't want to even repeat these names, you're in Aramaic here, demonic forces as we sleep, because they are there. They can't just attack a person, but we can become, God forbid, subject to them if we don't have the protection of our positive actions. And he says this is one of the premier tools to protect us when we go to sleep. I mean, why is that important? Because when we sleep, we're getting the energy for the next day. We want to have positive energy. We want our soul to ascend and not descend and gather negativity, because that's also possible. I mean, I won't go into the whole conversation about it, but the extreme example is a depressed person sleeps all the time, and they don't feel more awake. They feel more down and depressed and more tired. Why? Because the soul collects negativity, blockages as it sleeps. We all have the opportunity to do that, or elevate and draw positive forces and remove blockages and so on. That's the opportunity. And that's what this helps us do. And he says, it's important to think, he says, when you say the Ana B'Koach, and again, refer to the other video, link in the comment section, that it's important to say the verse in pairs. Ana B'Koach, Gedulat Yeminecha, Tatir Tzura. Why? Because in that way we connect to each verse connects with angels that he says the angels. He says Shtei otiyot techaser raglea. The angels cover their legs with two letters, meaning the two syllables. Uv'shtei otiyot porachet lamala. I'm sorry, I missed one here. Shtei otiyot techaser paneha. With two parts, he covers his face. With two parts, he covers his legs. And with two parts, he flies. He flies and elevates, ascends, rather. And with that, it helps to elevate our soul. Our nefesh, the lowest part of our spirit, can also elevate in the same way. In other words, by saying it in that fashion, we assist our own soul to connect to the angels, which are connected to the Ana B'Koach. And when we say the verses in that way, in steps of two syllables, just as I did, we ascend when we're asleep. Our soul, even the lowest part of our soul, ascends. Okay, it goes on. I won't go, more into the details. I think this is, good and sufficient, because we don't have to understand the telephone in order to use it, right? At least we need the minimum of what it can help us do. And that's, my purpose in explaining these things in these videos. Remember, go to the download section. You download the Ana B'Koach if you don't already have it. Refer to the other video of the Ana B'Koach if you don't know how to say it, how to pronounce it. There's a lot online, but I as well have a video on the Ana B'Koach, the secret of the 42-letter name that can protect us and help us ascend, help our soul go to higher realms when we are asleep, so that we can draw down that energy, so that it can help us the next day in any way. Because when our soul goes to a higher stage, we're able to get, we don't know what we're going to need the next day. What insight, what connection, what motivation, what inspiration. These are all things that these tools help us do. Okay? God bless. And so we'll see you in the next video. All the best.